Yeah, I'm a really big fan of your stuff, but I'm obviously an atheist, but I'm presenting you a theist problem that was brought to me recently. I've heard a lot of the usual theist argument, and this one was kind of a lot. Not that it was persuasive, but I'll tell you the story. I was walking across campus, and a campus ministry outreach group was proselytizing, preaching, and I walked up to him as I passed, tried to engage me. Are you a Christian? Are you an atheist? Would you like to convert? And I'm openly atheist. I said, yes, I'm atheist. Spent a good 15, 20 minutes talking to them, all the usual things. Uh, Bible has no contradiction. Yes, it does. But I eventually hammered in on the problem of evil. If God loves us, why is there suffering? Why is there pain? And eventually reached a point where, children, what really sin has a 5-year-old done? So what reason
Mhm.
would the just and loving God have to place something as insidious as a brain tumor in a 5-year-old child's skull? What I usually will get something like God works in mysterious ways, or it's all part of the plan. It's very neutral. And this was my first time hearing a theist present something like brain cancer as a positive when one of the outreach people said, oh, well, that's actually a good because when children die young, they go to God sooner. And I was so pivoted and just shocked by that, that I just stormed off
Yeah.
and walked away. And I had some really dark thoughts. I wanted to say something like, let's tell you I can't. That would be a horrible
Mhm.
thing to say. So I guess
Yeah.
yeah, I don't even like thinking it, let alone saying it, let alone admitting it. That's a horrible thing. Don't wish cancer on people. Why would you think that? But I walked
Yeah.
away just,
Yeah.
say, so I guess my problem is twofold, or my question, my concern. Sometimes as an atheist, I feel the burden is on us to be poised. If a Christian or a believer, Muslim, Hindu gets impassioned, oh, they're just passionate about their faith. If we start to get heated, oh, it's just an angry atheist. Part one, how do you feel you avoid that best? You are a better communicator than I am. And also, if, heaven forbid, a theist were to come to you with what I find an appalling argument that, oh, yes, child death and suffering is good because it gets you closer to God, just off the dome, what were some things or some ideas you might say or employ? I'm curious to hear your thoughts, please, gentlemen.
You wanna start off first? Or do you
Yeah,
want me
sure.
to?
So one of my videos on my channel was titled "Could God Not Kill Children?" and it was a very purposely
Oh,
structured
okay.
question. Could God not kill children? Basically asking the question, could God do what he wants to do, accomplish his goals without killing children? And I got all kinds of comments on that video, similar to the comment you got from that individual that approached you, and you were talking about, trying to frame cancer in children as a good thing, trying to frame child death as a good thing, simply saying God works in mysterious ways, which isn't at all an answer to the problem. The problem of evil is basically just identifying a contradiction with the idea of a triomni God that is perfect with his power, his knowledge, and his love, coupled with the world
Mhm.
that we see. And yeah, you're going to have lots of people give you kind of non-answers, like God works in mysterious ways is a complete non-answer. It's basically saying, I don't know, but I'm going to still believe
Right.
anyway. I'm gonna ignore the problem that's here. But yeah, and it can be very difficult because that can raise some emotions in people. Like when you hear somebody say that, yeah, children dying is a good thing. Yeah, it can swirl up some emotions in you, and you want to like lash out, or you want to get back at them or be snarky or whatever. But yeah, like I guess let me ask you again, what's like the general thrust of your question there? Because we all have dealt with these things. We all have dealt with responding to these things in certain ways. Is there like something that you're wondering about that we do, or like what was the
Uh,
thrust of your question again? Please remind me.
yeah, I guess it is a broad question, I suppose. Just some
Oh,
of the callers you do have say things that I would find heinous. I've seen talks about where they defend slavery
mm,
and how it's okay to oppress
yeah,
trans people. And I like to think I'm a compassionate person. And my natural instinct is I just want to say, too harsh, go fuck yourself. You're a cretin. You're a goblin. But that's the move the question forward. It doesn't solve anything. We don't get any close to
yeah,
understanding each other. And we probably won't. Someone with that much dogma in their brain may likely not come to a conclusion, but I did. I was once Christian. I was once fairly Catholic, and I arrived at this. And just basically, yeah, how do you keep your cool? When someone says something that just over the line, what do you do to center yourself and not perpetuate that stereotype of the angry atheist? You're angry at God. You're angry at cancer. You must be so angry.
yeah. It
Uh,
it can be hard to control yourself in certain cases when you're hearing things that are just so outrageous and cruel and I would say vile in certain ways, you know? Yeah, it really comes down to if you're getting emotional about it, kind of what is at the core of your emotion. Like, are you just outraged at what you're hearing? Are you frustrated? You're not swaying somebody? Are you just really that adverse to hearing things that you disagree with? I think just identifying why you can why you get emotional helps you contend with it and helps you kind of suppress it. And I'm not saying suppressing emotions is generally a good thing, but yeah, you don't want to play into certain stereotypes like the angry atheist sometimes, but sometimes you do, and then it just depends on the audience you have in front of you. But yeah, identifying your
So
motivations and your reasoning behind it is I think probably a good first step is seeing exactly what's driving that, and then you can figure out okay, if I understand what's driving that emotion in me, then I can better contend with it. Go ahead, Paul.
the other thing for me is that I still feel like I'm very freshly on the other side. And in every video I do, in every conversation I have, I'm constantly not putting myself in my shoes. I am remembering what it was like to be on their side of the fence, even if it doesn't exactly align. So when I was on that side of the fence, did I agree with what that was said? I absolutely agreed with what was said there because God, the good, the quote unquote good that they want to talk about of morality, they don't agree with you that good has to do with reducing harm or increasing flourishing in this lifetime. Their time scale is infinite, and they fully believe that this life is nothing but a blip. So the position you just presented was actually recently presented by someone as prominent as William Lane Craig, who said
Oh,
that if God commanded him to go shoot up a school, and he really believed that it was God commanding him to do that, that he would do it, and that some of those kids would be fortunate. So this is not like it's not a weird fringe thing, and I get why you're sighing
Yeah.
because you and I, our definition of morality really deals with reducing suffering and increasing flourishing in this life. But that is not what they define as morality. So one place the conversation can go, when you are calm about this, is pointing out that in this problem of evil conversation, you can't have a problem of evil conversation if the two of you are not agreeing about what the definition of morality is. And so you would be you might be able to make some impact by saying, look, my definition of morality has to do with reducing harm and increasing flourishing in this life. And they will say, well, this life doesn't matter. And then you can say, well, that's why we don't agree on the problem of evil, right? Because there's just a definitional problem going on. And you can be very calm. Like then you can forget about the kids with cancer, right? And you can just talk about now, well, they need to convince you that there is this other life for which you need to expand your moral compass about. And you can, again, get away with the horrible, horrible things they said. But if you want to lean into the horrible things they say, so that was one tact. But if you want to lean into the horrible things they say, then you could take that conversation to, well, then why then does God not favor abortion? When the best possible thing that you could do for this child, according to what you just told me, was to take them out before their age of accountability, right? So that's a shock value. If you want, so that's a whole different way you can go about it, right? The shock value of it. Or the third thing that I might want to go to is, okay, let's set aside the 5-year-old with cancer. Let's talk about 40-something Paul who had cancer. And I had cancer, and there was a very real chance that I was going to die before I was convinced that Christianity was true, right? So why would you give the 40-year-old cancer when he is not convinced? Like, is that not taking him out? Why are you not choosing to give these adults sufficient information to make an informed choice about whether or not to choose God or not, like accept the gift or not accept the gift, right? That to me is
Right.
way, if you want to put, yourself in that shoes, in that world where that is all true and there's a forever after this, the far more immoral thing is killing people in the age of accountability. And why is God not doing something about all that? Right. So those are different tacts. So one is to talk about the definitions. You can be less passionate. One is to, and the other two are basically versions of turning that argument around and saying, well, it's argumentum ad absurdum, right? It's like, well, if that is true in your case, wouldn't it make all these other undesirable things true as well? For example, like abortion should be good. So I don't know if that's at all helpful, but those are things that I would do, again, just because I feel so freshly associating with that person on the other side. That's not for everybody, by the way. And the things that Eric does in his Socratic questioning, also not for everyone. So you do need to let your own personality be your guide on some of these things.
Yeah. There's going to be things that you're going to say and do and in your style that will appeal to some and not to others. And there's no unfortunate, magic recipe or silver bullet that's going to give you, 100% success rate with whoever you're talking to or your audience and such. So, and that's the thing, like sometimes angry atheist is something that somebody needs to see. Like back in the old days, back when I freshly deconverted, when I first started consuming content on YouTube, this is like back in 2009, 2010, watching Matt tear apart theist claims. That's what I needed to see at that time. If it was me today, I don't consume as much of that content anymore. I consume a lot more stuff along the lines of like Paulogia and others that are kind of more analytical, more just down to the facts and stoic and kind of emotion free. And that's not saying that what Matt does back then doesn't have value now. There's people today that need to see these things and they need to see, religion knocked off the perch. So it really just comes down to what the person that you're interacting with needs at the time. And everybody's approach is different and effective in its own way. Me personally, I like street epistemology. I like questioning. I like just with honest and straightforward questions, identifying contradictions in somebody's claims or getting a person to admit that, hey, maybe I don't have a good reason to think that Matthew wrote Matthew, or things like that. So yeah, it really comes down to just what the person needs at the time and what you have to offer. But as far as the emotions thing, a lot of these things, these things talk to our morality, and our morality is deeply tied to our sense of survival. And if we see something that
Right.
that conflicts with our moral code, we can interpret that as this is actually this is a low key threat to potential flourishing or potential survivalhood. So it's easy to be emotionally charged about these things. I get emotionally charged about it. But having that discipline to, kind of keep that down and to stay on task and to just take things on rationally and just the facts, and then worry about the emotions later. Have a beer later on in that event, get all those emotions out then. That's usually what I do. But it really just comes down to the person and what you're doing and what you find effective. So that's really I can tell you.
That's extremely helpful. Thank you both. You both gave me a lot of different things to chew on. Good way to look at it. But one thing I want to go over one more time. The video that you made, Mr. Eric. Why does God keep killing children? Why does God not kill children? Because I want to look that up.
The question is, sure, it's on my channel, Skeptics and Scoundrels. It's like one of the only pre-made videos I've made. The question is, could God not kill children? Because we have, could God not kill children? You'll see it there. It's because we have, if you believe in the Bible, God killed children, whether it be in the flood, firstborn of Pharaoh, all that stuff. So the question is, could God have gotten his goals accomplished without doing this? And it's a fun video. I recommend you watch it. But yeah, hope you enjoy it.
All right. Well, thank you for your time, Dylan. Best luck the rest of the show. Have a nice.
Thanks, Tim. Or Thomas.
All right, Thomas. Thomas, thank you so much.